All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast weekly real estate tip. And today I'm here to walk you through 3 ways to double your real estate business fast. So if you want to double your business within the next 12 months, or maybe even less than the next 12 months, I'm going to break down and do a deep dive into 3 proven effective ways for you to, again, go out there and double fast. And the reason I was inspired to create this podcast today is a commonality with the free Zoom coaching calls that I've been doing, that I've just been doing for all of you amazing GSD Mode podcast watchers and listeners. I don't run ads for these. I just, offer these to you guys for any of you that want to jump on a free Zoom 60-minute coaching call with me where we can do a deep dive in your business and I can help you get your business turned around. The commonality recently, pretty much, 80% of them that I've been doing the last couple weeks when we're breaking down where their business is at to what their next 12-month goals are, it's just been double. So this is a conversation that I've been having a lot over the past couple weeks. So inspired me to create the podcast here on it today. So again, how to go out there and double. Now with these 3 things I'm going to walk you through here today, you can do each one of these separately or you can combine these. So you can much more than double. There's nothing out there saying that you can't triple, that you can't quadruple, that you can't go more than double with your real estate business. The only thing holding you back is what's going on upstairs here in your own mind, right? Okay, so item number 1, or way number 1, I should say, to go out there and double your business, and this is going to sound pretty basic, like common sense for all of us, but it's just double down. So this is one way. Now, I've got a good friend just recently had on the podcast, Dustin Runyon. You may have heard his podcast recently. If you didn't hear that podcast, I highly encourage you to go back and check that podcast out. Epic, amazing podcast. So a team leader here in Arizona, up in Lake Havasu, Arizona, so northern Arizona, northern Arizona. His team is continuing to grow, continuing to scale, even in these harder times, on pace to do 600 transactions this year. And I was breaking down, I asked him, I said, okay, dude, like a lot of team leaders, a lot of individual agents, their business is down and down significantly, since we saw the interest rates, started going up like crazy in 2022 with the unaffordability crisis. Most people's business is down, 40, 50, 60%, since about 2022. I'm like, and you guys continue to grow. Like, what have you done internally with you and with your agents? And he said, dude, we just decided, we made the commitment internally to double down. So, and with that, like quite literally double down. He said, okay, it was a team mandate. If you are an agent on his team, pre this correction that we've seen in the last couple of years, you had to have 10 real estate conversations every single day, Monday through Friday. So that means you're doing 100 dials, whether it's outbound prospecting or lead follow-up with a 10% dial the conversation rate. So that means you're doing 100 dials a day with 10 conversations per day. He's like, as soon as the economic slowdown hit, in middle of 2022, going into 2023, we made the commitment to double down. So now every agent, he's got 30 agents on his team, are mandated to do 20 conversations per day, Monday through Friday. So you can assess, okay, maybe you were doing 2 open houses a week. Maybe you were doing, whatever that is, whatever those activities are, not just with the activities, not just with the amount of leads that you are generating, but also with the amount of reach outs, conversations, all of those, all the way through the funnel, like truly doubling down. And this is what me and my team originally did when 2022 hit. You had Jerome Powell come out end of 2021 saying, hey, we're going to go from quantitative easing to quantitative tightening. We knew what that meant. Quantitative easing always means economic expansion. Quantitative tightening always means economic contraction. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't have a crystal ball. I didn't know exactly what that meant. I just knew that meant shit was going to slow down, especially in real estate, right? Because with their quantitative easing, the reason why interest rates were 3% and so damn low in 2020, 2021, really 2020, 2021, and I guess early part of 2022, very early part of 2022, is because you had the Federal Reserve became the primary and pretty much the only buyer of mortgage-backed securities, which is what sets the actual mortgage rates. So they're buying $90 billion a month. They're like, okay, hey, we're going to pull this back, and we're going to do this over a 6-month phase. So between January and July, they backed off. That's why we saw interest rates going up 0.5% every single month for that first 6 months straight before they even touched the overnight Fed rate. So we knew that this was going to create slowdown, or I knew it was going to create slowdown. So I started working with my agents. We're like, hey, every single month, we are going to pay attention to the amount that transaction volume in our market is contracting, and we're going to adjust our business plans accordingly. So that means that, okay, if we have 30% less transactions happening, okay, we're going to increase the amount of activities, amount of lead gen, and amount of lead follow-up, or overall activities by 30% until we can identify the right different niches inside of our overall market. So, that's where we start off with this. And again, that's an effective strategy, but that's going to require double the amount of focus, double the amount of work, double the amount of activities. And that's one way to go out there and double. But you got to make sure, if you're going to go down this double down path, that you know what's working and what's not working. So don't double down on bullshit that's not working inside your real estate business. This is why I'm always stressing tracking so heavily on the podcast. I know it's the unsexy thing to talk about in real estate, but like, you got to know what's working, what's not working, where you're getting results, where you're not getting results, because you don't want to double down on bullshit. You don't want to double down on crap that's wasting your money, wasting your time. You want to double down on what's effective only. Okay, so then way number 2 is to get 2x better at what you're already doing. Like, the quickest way to double is just to get twice as good at what you're already doing at activities that are already working inside of your business. Now, again, this takes you tracking inside your business so we can see the only way to know what to get better at, other than like we can try to guess, but the way for us to fully know where to get better at is to track your numbers. So I look at this like, okay, if you were to go to the doctor, like, let's just say I was your doctor and you're sick. You're like, all right, Dr. Josh, I want you to treat me, but then you're like, all right, Josh, but you're not allowed to do any tests. So you just got to guess what's going on with me. Then, okay, I'm going to be forced to be in a position where it's like, all right, dude, here's 50 pills. Hopefully one of these works. And if one does work, we're not going to really know which one's going to work. So we're just forced to throw a bunch of shit against the wall. Hopefully something sticks, right? When we're tracking, we know specifically exactly what we need to scale up, what we need to scale down. So let's just say, and this was a live coaching example that happened with one of my coaching clients. This was in the last year. I can't remember the exact date that it took place. It was in 2024. Exact conversation. Hey, I need to double. I was like, okay, cool. Quickest way to double isn't to double your hours, double your efforts, double your lead gen, the quickest way to double is to get twice as good at what you're doing. Now, luckily, coaching client, they were tracking their numbers. So pull up their numbers, right? So I was able to assess and pinpoint where the biggest opportunities of growth were. So there were 2 numbers inside their business that were off, that they're red flags. Their appointment set to conduction rate was significantly lower than where I'd like to see it being. And then their appointment conduction to client taken rate on the listing side was significantly lower than I want to see it being, right? So then I'm like, okay, dude, like, we need to be at a 75% or higher appointment set to conduction rate. Then I want you being at a 90% or higher appointment conduction to client taken rate. And I'm like, here's the cool thing. I can get you dialed in now that we know precisely what these are. These are just a quick process and a quick skill set issue that we can have fixed in 7 days or less. But then I did the math for them. I'm like, dude, this is going to, if you hit these numbers to where I'm telling you that you need to be at, where you should be, where I want you to be at, which shows that you've really honed in these skill sets, this will 2.7x your business without working more hours, without doing more dials, without having to generate more leads, spend more money, have more conversations. But we got to know what to get better at. Small hinges swing big ass doors. So if you get a little bit better at all these little things, you get a little bit better at your pre-framing, your tonality, your conversations, you get a little bit better at your conversational appointment set rate, you get a little bit better at your appointment set to appointment conduction rate, you get a little bit better at your conduction to client taken rate, get a little bit better at your client to closing rate, you get a little bit better at your past client repeat referral business rate. All of those things, it's like you get a percent here and there, percent here and there, percent here and there. Again, small, tiny hinges swing big ass doors. Next thing that you know, and you double or triple your business by just making little adjustments, just getting a little bit better at each of the things that you're doing. So that is way number 2, is to just get twice as good at what you're already doing. Okay, so the third way is to get more strategic. And again, before I jump into this, like I said, you can do combinations of all of these. You don't need to do, now for me, I'm going to look at number 2 and number 3 before I go into number 1, before I just start doubling down. Because, like, look, I know this is the Get Shit Done mode podcast, but I want to get shit done in the most effective and efficient way. Like, I don't want to have to work 100 hours to go from 50 hours to 100 hours if I don't have to. I'd like to, okay, hey, how can I continue working 50 hours and just get twice as good and generate, 2-3 times the amount of business in the same amount of time? So I'm always going to go to way number 2 and number 3 first, and I'm going to use way number 1 is kind of the That's all I got left way of doing this for me personally. Not saying that that's got to be the path for you. Okay, so number 3 here is to get more strategic. So I'm going to give 3 different examples. So, okay, I'm already doing this thing. Now, I know this thing works. I'm already doing this thing. How do I get better? How do I get, like I said earlier, not just twice as good at this thing, we want to improve those skill sets, but how can, if I'm already doing this thing, how can I add something else to it to get better results, right? So, okay, example number 1. And I'm going to give 3 different examples because you don't need to do any one of these. I'm just using these examples. I don't care what the lead source is, what your strategies are. Not saying that you got to do any of the 3 examples that I'm going to give you. And I'll probably sprinkle in some more examples than just these 3 as well. But I'm just using these examples. Okay, so let's just say I'm doing open houses. Okay, so maybe I'm cranking it, crushing it with open houses. Then I'm like, okay, well, how can I maybe I've maximized open house. Like I maximized property selection. I maximized pre-marketing. I maximized setup, sign-in process, tour process, follow-up. Like I'm converting it over to 10%. Like I'm crushing those things. So then, okay, well, how can I get more strategic to get more business still out of the thing that I'm already doing that I've already mastered? Okay, well, now one of my favorite ways of doing open houses, I'm doing the open house anyway, but instead of doing it on my own listing, we know that statistically less than 0.5% of homes sell through the open house. Like we're not doing open houses to sell that listing. We're doing open houses to leverage that property as our storefront to go out there and meet buyers and sellers and sell them other properties. Like you guys all get that and understand that, right? Like I'm not going to do open houses an effective way to go out there and get my sellers' home sold, and I'm not going to lead them on that path of thinking that that's right, because that would just be me lying to them, and you and I know that, right? So then from there, it's like, okay, instead of me just doing these on my own listings or other agents in my office listings, okay, I'm going to go to for sale by owners and do them on for sale by owners. So I have a way that I pitch for sale by owners. Where it's, hey, I get and respect what you're doing. I understand you're trying to sell your home on your own without having to pay that big commission check. And between you and I, even though I'm a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Arizona, when I sell my own homes, I hate paying that big commission check as well. So I get it. I respect it. I honor it. At no point in time during our conversation today, at no point in time during our relationship will I ever ask you for a listing, will I ever ask you for a commission check, will I ever ask you for a penny. I've actually got a win-win proposition I like to run by you that can help you increase your chances of getting your home sold, but also as a win for me. Then I go into what the win-win proposition is with my open house strategy, what we're going to do, why it's a win for them. Now, here's the thing with this is you can't just tell them why it's a win for them, because in the world that we live in today, what is it? Oh, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Yeah, right? People are skeptical. So I'm going to go into, hey, here's why it's a win for me. So let's just say I get you 20 people through, which is what my average open house gets through. So let's just say I get 20 people through. One of those people falls in love with your home, wants to buy your home. I give that person to you. You go write the offer. Again, you don't owe me a cent. Well, I had 19 other people come through your open house that for whatever reason, your home didn't meet exactly what they were looking for. The vast majority of these are not working with another real estate agent. I'm going to meet with them. I'm going to connect with them. I'm absolutely going to at least convert one of those into a buyer and find at least one of those a home, if not multiple of those, and go out there and find them something, sell a home, and make a bunch of money too. This is how we can help each other. So then from there, then I have a free resource for sell by owner strategy after the open house, and then we have a follow-up strategy with them. So then you end up listing about 50% of the open house or FSBOs that you do. Now, these are team averages. So my actual team averages with this is 38% of the FSBOs that we do the open houses on, we end up listing successfully post-open house. Now, those are team averages, and the reason why I bring this up is, look, I get brand new agents on the team that never sold a lick of real estate or have had any sales experience in their life, right? So then, okay, I've got a coaching client, as an example, in Salt Lake City, Utah, that does this strategy, and he's above 80% of the FSBOs that he does this on that converts. So that's what I'm saying with team averages, and the reason why I use averages is because I got new agents, I got seasoned agents. So if you are a rock star, yours are going to be like my coaching client up in Utah that's converting at 80% of those. So already doing the open house, might as well also do it on this FSBO, where then boom, you can get that FSBO listing afterwards as well. Okay, so then let's just say then example number 2. Okay, I'm hitting the phones and I'm circle prospecting. So maybe you're calling this list of these homeowners inside this neighborhood. And that's, how you're doing more. How could I get more strategic with cold calling for, outside of just calling, just circle prospecting all these random homeowners that, hey, maybe they just moved in this house 6 months ago. Maybe when you're circle prospecting, just blanketing a neighborhood, like a lot of those are going to be very low urgency. So, okay, now the activity is cold calling. So instead of me just randomly circle prospecting all these homeowners that may or may not need my services, okay, let me get more strategic and call higher probability, higher urgency seller lead sources, like an example of this, expireds, for sale by owners, people going through a divorce, absentee owners, pre-foreclosures, right? Where there's a much, much higher probability of them needing to sell based on their current situation. Where then, instead of having to do, let's just say 2,000 dials and 200 conversations to get one listing taken, now I'm down to like 500 dials, 50 conversations, one listing taken. So again, examples of getting more strategic. Okay, maybe you're doing paid Facebook ads and you're just scattering those out all over your area or all over the, different parts of the country. Okay, well, this is something that I've had to do. I used to do more scattered Facebook ads between 2015 when I first started doing them heavily till about 2022. Mine were more scattered. But the market has changed dramatically from what we saw during that time to what we're seeing now today. So I've had to get very strategic, meaning that I'm very strategic with the areas that I'm targeting. I'm not scattering these anymore. So here's an example with this. I know the top 10 states and the top metros within those states where people are reloading to my market. So then based on that, okay, what is the number one state and the number one metro in that state, number one county, number one metro in that state of reloads coming to your market? So let's just say, okay, for my market, we get a lot of people from California. That's a big state, a lot of people. But then from there, okay, there's different concentrations with the different counties, with the different areas. Okay, I get a lot of people from San Francisco Bay Area, a lot of people from LA County, a lot of people from Riverside County, a lot of people from San Diego County, right? So I'm not going to scatter these. I can't tell you anytime or I'm sure it happens, but it's so low that it wouldn't make sense for me to run ads to Lake Tahoe, California, right? Or Roseville, California. I don't get a lot of people moving, Roseville is usually good if they want to stay in California and they're moving from San Francisco Bay Area, but they want to stay in California because Roseville is very similar to Phoenix when it comes to cost of living and price points. Right? So I'm going to be very strategic. So it's the same medium, but now I'm only targeting places and people that have the highest probability of moving to my marketplace. So that is, again, an example, getting more strategic. So this is, instead of shotgunning crap out, okay, we operate like we have a sniper scope. So then when we're snipering, putting people in our sites that have the highest probability of needing our services. So we're switching from people that want to potentially buy and sell to people that need to buy and sell. And this greatly then increases your overall conversions per lead source. So way number 3, again, is to get more strategic. And there's just a few examples of how to go out there and do that. So these are the 3 ways to easily double your business over the next year. And again, you don't have to pick any, you can do a combination of these. And my recommendation to all of you watch or listen to this is to assess and look at way number 2 and way number 3, to do those first. Because that's just going to allow you to, dude, if you can double your business in the same amount of time or double your business in less time by being more strategic, by getting better, that to me is just a better way of growing your business, right? But it's your business. If you want to work twice as hard, you can do that too. Not to that, I won't work twice as hard because I will. I'll do whatever it takes. I don't care. If I got to go on the street corner and wear a freaking chicken suit and spin a sign out there to make money and create opportunities for my family, I'll do whatever it takes. But in my opinion, it just makes more sense to really assess and break down way number 2 and way number 3 first. And then if needed and necessary, then I'll go to way number 1 there. So I hope that this is helpful. Again, make sure to check out gsdmode.com for more additional free training, more additional free resources. I've got an amazing 3-hour-long in-depth masterclass taking place right now, which is 6 steps to 3xing your real estate business in the next 12 months. If you want to check that out, you can also schedule a 100% free, 0 strings attached Zoom coaching call with me personally, where we can break down your business, what your current business, where your business is at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals are, what your biggest obstacles are. Then based on that and based on your current unique situation, I will personally map out what my personal recommended best strategy and or strategies are for you to get you exactly from where you're at to where you want to go in the quickest, most effective, efficient, profitable manner possible. So if you want to check that out, go to gsdmode.com for all those free resources, register for that free Zoom call or that free Zoom coaching call. You can also learn more about partnering with me at EXP if you have some interest in that and how we can explode and grow our businesses together by partnering together. All of that's done at gsdmode.com. All right, guys, keep crushing it. Truly appreciate you, and we will talk to you next time. Peace.